can you believe it? It's your 4th anniversary today of the lodge.
I know. It's crazy. We've had a lot of veterans through there. A lot of laughter, a lot of fun, a lot of healing.
In honor of our anniversary, I'm using this little mug that Chloe, my girlfriend, made. It's the little House in the Woods logo. It's a little dog tag and it says House in the Woods on it.
Yeah, that was nice.
Got my name on it too.
That was nice.
This is the kind of luxury that I live in over here, Paul. You got a personalized mug?
I do not.
I'll see what I can do. I could get you hooked up with one.
Yeah.
July 9th. So July 9th of 2017, Tim, let's go back so take us back to, you had the organization obviously in 2010, but at what point did you know that you were going to build a lodge?
Well, it was really not really funny, but how it happened is I knew I wanted something.
Yeah.
And so I literally woke up one morning and told my wife that we're ready to build. I had no idea where the money was coming from, where we were going to put it or anything. So I said, let's donate, like we donated like 4 acres to put the building on. I said, if we don't do something ourselves and donate something, God's not going to bless the work. So we did. And then I had a guy with his own machine, a skidder, and I cut the wood. He twitched it out for me. And then we had it cleared. We had to have it dynamited, and that was a process. So little did we know. But prior to that, when I decided, or I had this fruition, I guess, to build this lodge, we were out there in January. It was cold, me and a couple other people measuring the building size that we're going to put. It's freezing cold. We didn't care. Trying to put stakes in the ground. And we just knew it was the right thing to do. So we just started the process.
So let me get this straight. Were you actually pounding stakes in the ground before you even knew?
No, I knew we were gonna, no, I had this.
You knew at that point that you were gonna have funding for it.
We had cleared the area, but we didn't know exactly the size of the building. And then as time went on, we went out that morning and started measuring and pounding stakes, because we had to take in consideration where our line was and where the road is coming into the lodge. So we didn't want it so big that it was going to overtake the road. So we ended up clearing more wood in behind. So we cut everything to the line, and we're pretty close to the road, 80 by 90s. And little did I know then, the folks that we used to go on the bear hunt with in Upper Dobsey, George and Terry Gallagher, they had put us up for 6 years for nothing. Just super nice people. They would cook and take care of us. Later that year, during construction of the building, we found out that George had a brain tumor, and he ended up passing that following spring.
Okay.
So I guess God laid it on my heart to start this process of building the building, because without him, we really had no place to go.
What an interesting, I mean, we talk about it all the time, just the timing of things. And it's almost like it's difficult to put into words when we know it's happening all the time. But, at difficult times, you think, what is going on? What is the purpose here? What's the plan? We don't know what the plan is. You just you just keep going with it. And you're a prime example, and having a mission in mind, focusing on that, moving forward with that every single day. There's days where you and I chat and it seems like nothing is really moving. At the same time, like our mission and our dedication to it is so strong. You're like, I know something's happening. I can't see it. Something's happening. So
yeah, exactly.
You bring up a good point that I did want to ask more about, because even myself, I don't know a whole lot about George and Terry. And I think I'm sure a lot of people have never heard of them or don't know anything about them. Could we talk briefly about that? Because hand in hand, this lodge goes the beginning of the organization. So when you first started the organization, how did the connection with you and George and Terry come into play, and what did the organization look like at that stage?
Well, we had just started in 2010, and at that time, just before we met George and Terry, we were looking for a place to rent or lease or whatever. Finances, we just didn't have the money. We found some places, but they really wasn't what we were looking for. It just didn't fit, and it didn't feel right. So anyway, one afternoon, late afternoon, early evening, these two couples came in the driveway. So it ended up being George and Terry Gallagher and their neighbors, who they both have camps in Upper Dopsey and Lakeville. Well, they had seen an article in the Lincoln News about us bringing veterans to Maine on a bear hunt or fishing trips or whatever. So Terry and George had been looking for 2 years. They had made brochures, pamphlets of some sort that they had taken to VFWs, I guess, different organizations, and saying, listen, we have this beautiful camp on Upper Dopsey. Would like for some veterans and their families to come and use it for free. They didn't get one phone call and nobody responded. So they, in their curiosity, heard about us and they stopped by and said, how do you get veterans to come to your place? I said, well, first of all, we really don't have a place. And I said,
Yeah.
it's a work in progress. So it takes time. And we were new at this too. They said, well, would you mind coming into our camp in Upper Dopsey and follow us in? We said, sure. So my wife and I drove in, but behind them, followed them in. It's like 8 or 9 miles in. As they took us in their place and we looked around, right on the water, we said, this is perfect. This is exactly what we want. So they in return said, listen, here's the key. You can use it whenever you want. And then it turned out, they said, well, we would like to help more. So they volunteered to cook. And George was an incredible cook. We'd pick up the groceries, bring it back, and I never had to worry about a thing. So George would make hors d'oeuvres, he would make soup, and then he would make the main meal. That man would stay up until 10, 11 o'clock at night, sleeping on the couch, and if we come in late at night, and he would be there to serve. Just very dedicated. And I never forget at his funeral, after the celebration of life after, somebody mentioned, like, I don't know what you guys did to George, but he was a changed man. He loved doing that so much. And they said, there's just something about him that changed. So him and Terry were just incredible people, and they loved doing it. And they really made the bear hunt what it was because they were funny. They were fun to be around, and they were great cooks, and they just loved having the vets. And that was a passion of theirs. So we helped them fulfill their passion along with ours. So that there again, that's networking and working with other people. Because I never forget too, one of the conversations, I said, George, would you cook in our new lodge? And he looks at me like, no, I am not going to cook in your new lodge. Kidding. Because he says, I like my kitchen, but he would have, and he would have loved it, and he would have been just the same as he was in his own place. So interesting. So, those are memories we'll never forget. And that's where House and Wood started our first bear hunt. And they really did make it what it was. And that home cooked meals, that's so special. It reminded me as a kid growing up, having the surroundings of different people and go to hunting camps, that type of thing. So that's why I love so much about our lodge. It reminds me of George and Terry and what they did and established. So it's
well, and that's such a critical beginnings, because that having a big family and having that surroundings, that isn't something that everybody's familiar with, and George and Terry were able to really give you that foundation and really put that focus on, like, this is a big part of it. You're not just feeding people's stomachs, you're feeding their hearts and their souls. And so it's so nice to see that it's fulfilled by all the volunteers, and it's every single volunteer. It's everybody who makes a pie. It's everybody who helps serve. It's everybody who helps make it. It's not just the key players that you see all the time. It's all of the people that are lined up behind there that you don't see, that we really need to, put focus on.
And they wouldn't take a cent. They would not take a cent, nothing. They would just had hearts that were bigger than the world. They just wanted to give. And they were fun, so fun to be around. And they would tease the vets. I remember a couple incidences where the valves to the shower and the water upstairs, because they had a balcony and they had bedrooms up there where the vets slept. And that Terry and George's bedroom was downstairs. Well, someone would be taking a shower, and all of a sudden you'd hear somebody holler. Well, George would reach over and shut off the hot water valve, so cold water would be coming out. Then he'd holler up, say, knock on the pipe a few times and it will come back on. So he'd go flip the valve on. And
Hilarious.
the very first night we ever stayed there, it was all run by generator. So everybody's got their lights on and some people are taking a shower and getting ready. And George shuts the generator off and all the lights go out. So everybody's saying, what in the world's going on here? So we holler to him, George, we're not ready for bed yet. So he flips the generator back on. And
That is hilarious. And that's what I hear, even though I didn't have the privilege of meeting them. Every time you say George Gallagher, somebody, their face lights up. Like you can see just what an impact one person. You don't have to, and this is something I want to talk about in a little bit, but you don't have to have been born a business leader. You don't have to have been born a professional this or a professional that. Just like, you weren't born a businessman. You weren't born to be a nonprofit leader. That wasn't something that you thought was in your future. And even though George wanted it, he thought it was going to look different too. He thought it was just going to be a few families coming here and there. What he doesn't know now, and what he probably did see in the end, was that was the beginning of a huge part of this organization. I mean, had you not connected with him in the way that you did and realize the importance of everybody being together, I know you wanted that, but until it really came to fruition, you didn't see how important it is to have everybody together under one roof, not separated as much as possible. So do you have anything in the lodge that commemorates them?
Yes. So Terry and her children came up when we had open house, and we talked about them and we presented them with that plaque with that picture on it and stuff.
There's so many people that that you could never thank everybody that's been involved. So
well, it's like a puzzle. You try to find them first pieces, the outlines, different colors and shapes and sizes, all that. You try to find those, and along the way, and I always said we kind of do this by the seat of our pants, meaning we don't know what's going to happen in the future. This is all new, so we're kind of dabbling, seeing what works. And sometimes it works really well, sometimes not so well. So you try to take the good things or whatever you learn or your mistakes, and you try to transform them into something better. So every year, that's what we're trying to do. You never can get to the point, well, I'm done, I'm finished, because you can always improve. And that's what we always have tried to do is when the vets come in, like, for example, just their tree stands, or their blinds. We try to make it comfortable for them, make the situation they're in better. Just simple things like when they're sitting there, do you want them facing when the sun's setting so it blinds them? No, you don't want that. So just simple things like that you learn, or that you realize. It's like people in the kitchen. What kind of meals do we want? What do you think the vets want? You got to have a kind spirit within you to be able to sit down, or anybody in general, but especially these men and women that have seen combat, what they've been through. Things are very sensitive sometimes. You may not think so at the time. So what we say and what we do does make a big difference. And being there is a listening ear, I think, is one of the biggest things that's good for them and good for us, as we listen to what they've been through, and just the laughter, joking, and don't treat them any different than you would anyone else. It's just be there for them, help them, and they'll do the same for us, and they have already, actually. So
I think you bring up a good point when people think about volunteering, and I think we're all the same. We walk into situations and think, am I going to know the right thing to say? Or am I going to know what to do? Anyone can be a volunteer and can be a listening ear. You don't have to have special guidance or training or anything like that. It is just what you said. Just open your heart and listen. Don't go in with any preconceived notions. Don't look at anyone in a judgmental way. Just know that, here's a man or a woman who's served our country, and you're just coming together, in the outdoors, in that camaraderie. It's there's so much there, but on the same hand, it's also the most like lighthearted type environment too, because everybody's just coming together in this open-hearted, loving environment. And I know people say it all the time, like when they walk through the doors, how they feel God's love. And And truly, you think about the wide variety of backgrounds that people come from that are there. They're all different eras. They're all different ages. They've seen all sorts of different things. Some have seen combat, some haven't, but it doesn't make anyone less or more important or valuable or anything like that. So it's a super special environment. And like you said, just listening, because everybody needs a different thing, and you're never quite sure what that is.
Yeah, no, exactly. And listening can be healing for both parties because then there's a clear understanding, and let that sink in. And you may go to bed that night and say, man, what he or she said is, I need to pay attention and really take that serious, and what they've been through, what they're going through. And also, just the laughter, enjoying. And once you get to know them, you can tell, you can joke around, and they will. All of them do. They're like family. So it's that connection. And some people, as you know, connect sooner or quicker than other people's. We all have different personalities. There may be some that come in, some of the veterans that come in, that they may take to one of the other guides or one of the other cooks before me, and vice versa. So we're all there for a reason. So everybody has and that's why volunteers are so important, because everybody has a purpose. So they may look for somebody as a mother figure. They may look someone as a father figure or a brother figure or a sister figure. So everybody plays a role, and nobody goes in there any less important than the other person. We're on equal ground. So that mindset in itself, just going and being yourself and just listening and being thoughtful of other people in respect, what each other is doing and has done.
Yeah, exactly.
Things, but.
So let's start with your why. Why do you do what you do? Not just as the executive director, but go back as far as you want. But for people who are just seeing this for the first time, because we have so many people that are seeing us for the first time and hearing about us, why do you do what you do at House in the Woods?
For those who don't know, I did lose my son. He was killed in Taji, Iraq, by a roadside bomb with 3 other soldiers and an Iraqi interpreter, which was June 23rd, 2007, which was his mother's birthday. And it was also one of the other soldiers' birthdays. He was holding his hand while they were trying to revive him. So Joel was 22 years old. He loved doing what he was doing. He loved the outdoors. He loved hunting, fishing. So it was one of those things where I'd never wish on anybody, of course. The night or that late afternoon of June 23rd, we got word that he was killed. One of the things I did say is God doesn't make mistakes, even though it hurt so bad. I knew God had a plan. I didn't have any idea what it was. I just knew deep down there was something. And we're Christians. We know Joel went to heaven to be with the Lord instantly. That in itself was a comfort, even though his presence physically is not with us, his spirit is with us. So we had the funeral here in Lee, Maine, at the gymnasium, and we're only at the time 850 people. At his funeral were between 11 and 1,200 people. So the support was tremendous. 4 of his Army buddies from his first tour came to the funeral. So it was one of those times where the memories, what the soldiers went through that were there when he was killed, the ones that had served that did come to the funeral were there, all the memories that they had and what they had to deal with is a lot. And some things I can't even comprehend what they did and what they went through. So after we buried Joel, that was July 3rd of 2007, we were invited to Fort Hood, Texas to a memorial. And Mark and Ann Laguerre graciously invited us to stay at their house, which they knew Joel through church. He used to go over there after church, Sunday evening for singles group. Super nice people. So anyway, they were military and they invited us to stay there at their place. So we didn't know what to expect from this memorial. This was July 19th of 2007. So the next morning we got up and some of Joel's Army buddies, along with the Laguerres, escorted us to Fort Hood and took us in the chapel. We went in. As we went in, they took us up the left aisle about halfway up. And seated us. And when we looked down, there were 19 men, including a son, that were killed in the Cav unit. So there's 19 of us families in that chapel from the month of June. So very, I guess it was a comfort in one way, knowing we were not alone, but also really saddened by our losses. So we got to meet them. The memorial service was incredible. What they did to honor each man that was killed was amazing. So after the service, we got to meet the other 3 families that had their sons and Joel were together when they were killed, which was nice to see them and talk to them, and some of the other families as well. So we went back to the Laguerre's house. They had a catered supper, which was very nice. We sat around, talked about our boys, and then the evening, of course, we went to bed. Got up the next morning, and I went in the living room about 7 a.m, and Mark Laguerre, who was a retired lieutenant colonel, was sitting there on his couch reading the newspaper and we were talking about the war and what had happened, and all of a sudden I had tears coming down my cheeks. That was a calling by God, and I really can't put it into words what it felt like to help Ghost Star families like ours and veterans. And that's where it all started. And to answer your question, since that day, that passion has been so strong, and it is to this day. That's why I do what we do. It's because God called me to do this. And I love helping men and women who serve our country. And there's nothing I would not do for them. And that passion it's strong in it. I'm almost teared up right now thinking about what they've gone through and what all the Ghost Star families have gone through. And it's deep. It's something that's so deep and grounded that that's why the mission is so important to me. And I try to relay that to other people. And I think people are seeing that, the passion in not quitting. And even though there are challenges, you just keep going and put your boots on and go to work. So yeah, the passion is strong. And I love seeing the veterans laugh and have a good time. And I love seeing them sit around the meals talking, and there's nothing any better than laughter. I mean, it's the greatest thing in the world. So that passion is just deep and it's strong, and I think it radiates out. If you do what God wants you to do, it radiates out. And it's simple. It's a simple concept that he laid upon my heart to do, and to take veterans out in the outdoors. Like my son, he loved to hunt, fish, canoe, kayak, the fires, sitting around the fire, having s'mores or hot dogs or hamburgers, whatever, just the simple things in life. And those are to me, the most important things, because I go back in my memory bank and remember the times I spent with my son, and good memories. And I want these men and women to have good memories and walk away saying, I love that place. Those people are genuine, and they really love us, and they want to help us.
Well, I know you don't do it for thanks, and we don't highlight that often, but thank you from each one of the men and women that have been there, from all of the volunteers, from everybody that you work with, because it does radiate, and your passion for the mission. Every time you tell the story, and I say it over and over again, I'm like, I hear it all the time in our conversations and our networking, but every time you tell the story, it strikes me in a different way. It's freshened. Like every time I hear that story, it freshens that in my heart and in my mind. So I know that it does that for other people, and then it goes on. It radiates out from them as well. So you radiate to someone else, and then they radiate to their friends and family, and you just you can see it, how God works. You can see how it starts with you, and it starts with Joel, and it starts with your family, but it radiates out, and it's radiating across the country and across the globe, because I get messages from people in Germany and other places saying, we love to hear about House in the Woods. We love the concept, and we love to see people coming together. And it's, what we call that home away from home. And it's just the simple concept of being together and sharing breakfast and sharing lunch and going outside. And it's not about the harvest. We talk about that all the time, You may be hosting outdoor retreats, but it's just about being together. And that's the bottom line. So thank you from everybody for everything, for all the hardships you've been through getting to this point, and honoring Joel in the way that you do. It's inspiring, it's encouraging to everybody. And I'm just so grateful for everything that you and Dee and Luke and Joy have done to this point. So thank you for everything you do.
Well, you're welcome. But, like the Bible said, it's better to give than to receive. Mm-hmm. That doesn't just mean money. It means everything in life. And it is such a great feeling. So we're blessed by helping. And it's an honor. What better way to live your life in helping others? And that's how I look at it. And, these little distractions, so what? Things happen. You just keep moving forward because it's the right thing to do. And you have that satisfaction of this peace. And I think that's one of the key words, is this peace within, by helping other people and giving them the best that you have. It's not that we are the best or I am the best. I'm not, but it's given the best that you have. And that's what God looks at, is if you're genuine and you're real. And that's what God likes. He doesn't like somebody that's not that way. He likes people that want to give out of the goodness of the heart and keep giving. And the simpler life is for me, the better it is. I just love the simplicity of everything. But
are you implying no spreadsheets, no technology? No.
I can live without it. But I guess in today's society, it's kind of a necessity. But that's why I have you around.
That's why there's delegation. Yeah, exactly. But you bring up a good point that I did want to ask, because it's not all been sunshine and roses and people that see the lodge as it is today. It's been a long road. I mean, we wouldn't be doing justice to the program if we didn't address for a moment some of the struggles, so that people can understand that, like we said earlier, like you weren't born a businessman. When you were struggling, with getting your nonprofit status, I mean, they didn't want to give you a nonprofit status. You tried a couple times, didn't you?
We did. We hired a lawyer. My wife and I sat down with her and went over the questions, and she did the legal aspect of it. And her words were, this shouldn't be a problem. Well, it was sent in, and I can't remember, it's probably a month later or a few weeks later, we got a rejection that we didn't fit the criteria. So we went back to the drawing board and filled out the process, the paperwork again, and sent it in the second time, and we got a second rejection on this. And it's like, now the person from the IRS wanted us, well, you got to have counselors. They got to sit down 20 minutes or a half hour before each event. We wouldn't be able to take money because it was a whole different nonprofit status, if you want to call it that. So, okay, now what? Here we have somebody, the IRS, that says, well, we don't fit the criteria. So I got to the point where, even our lawyer at the point, well, I don't know if we can do this. I says, well, if we can't do it the way I want to, is an outdoor retreat, then I'm going to go ahead without the application being processed and get permission. So anyway, I called the IRS up myself. And even though I was instructed by the lawyer, she said no.
You don't follow instructions, is that what you're saying?
I don't follow instructions very well. So, and I had some questions, and we talked, and I called her, and then she called me back, and I told my lawyer, and she says, I don't want you calling her again. Well, I didn't pay any attention to the lawyer because they don't know everything. So anyway, I called and I said, okay, what do you want? I says, I'm confused. You tell us one thing and we try it. And it says, you want this done and that done. I says, what do you want? And finally she said, all right, I'm going to transfer you to my boss. Okay. So she did. So I left a message, okay, give him my name and my idea. It was probably a couple of weeks later, he called me back. I was on my way home from work. And on the way home, He said, I want to help you with this. He said, I'm a 20+ year veteran. And I told him my story again on the phone. He says, I know the whole process. He says, you have about 6 questions that you need to fix. He said, when you go to your computer, so my wife and I, he says, we'll get on the phone and I'll tell you exactly what you need to fix, how to answer these questions. So we did. And within 3 or 4 weeks, we had the letter that we were approved, 501c3 in the mail. What does that tell you? It's not what you know, it's who you know. So
and don't follow instructions.
and don't follow
Think outside the box.
So yeah, so it was that simple. And that goes to show you some people don't understand. When she said we don't fit the criteria, I said, my son was killed. All I want to do is help men and women. She didn't get that. She did not get that. She had no idea. Didn't really care either. So, but I didn't care what she thought either. So,
right.
Because, and I wasn't trying to be belligerent or rude. It was such a passion that God called me to do this. And I've always said, if there's a brick wall, if I can't open a door and get inside there, I'll go under it, around it, over it, or I'll go through it to get what God wants me to do done. Now, is it easy? No, it wasn't easy. It was a long process for us. And we didn't know what we were doing really, because we had never done a nonprofit. It was all new. It'd be like giving somebody a rifle and say, here, go hunting, when they've never seen a rifle. They've never been in the woods. And that to us was the same feeling. That here you go get your nonprofit status. Well, how do you do that? So we were calling people left and right, trying to figure out, get answers, and nobody really had a clear answer. We kind of had to figure it out ourselves. So, and then the building process came along. So how are we going to do this even before the building? Where are we going to stay? How are we going to get the vets? I don't know many veterans. How do we get them here? So those are all things that we had to figure out. Not only we want a program, but how do you go? What do you do? Who's going to cook? There's everything you see that's going on now with the lodge and our trips for away. I have no idea. It was one step at a time, making a phone call, or somebody might know somebody. So it was a long process to get where we are today. It wasn't, okay, here we are, everything's hunky-dory. No, it's a process. So, but that didn't stop me, because I overlooked all that. I can see the end result. And that is when the men and women come to House in the Woods, they heal, they're glad to be there. The home cooked meals, the guides, the atmosphere brings the best out of them and puts the best in them as far as the healing process. And I don't know, I can't tell you every step of the way, but it's just a long process to get where we are. So no, was it easy? No, it wasn't. I'd be lying if I said it was, oh yeah, no big deal.
Exactly. And that being said, you think about all those little steps. How do you do this? How do you do that? It's not over either. I mean, as a nonprofit, some people probably look at it, and we have this conversation about, I'm sure some people look at it like, oh, they got it all under control. Like they got that lodge, they got, some equipment that, they have a house full of people, and we're literally, in some ways, you haven't really stepped away from that process, because as a nonprofit, the whole idea of a nonprofit is solving an unsolvable problem. We have 18 million veterans. How are we going to help as many people as we possibly can? Right. And it starts with every morning when you and I talk about, okay, like fundraising, where are we at on that front? How are we paying for this? Because, something that people may not know is that it is, a nonprofit is somewhat a day-to-day event, because, there's always expenses. There's a lot of expenses associated with the lodge. I mean, something that people probably don't know is we still owe a little under $1.5 million on the lodge. That's a separate story in and of itself, but finding sponsorship to take care of that so that we can take that off of our plate. Hopefully 5 years down the road, we're looking back and saying, remember that process, getting that lodge paid off. It's not something we focus on, because the focus is the veterans and, active and Gold Star. but it's a challenge that's definitely right in front of us that we can't ignore. As well as sponsorship. Every day we're looking for, well, how can we make the right connections in the right way so that people want to sponsor and they want to be involved, not just make a payment. We're not just looking for a payment. We want a relationship with people and companies and organizations. So some of the things, it's interesting as you get to different stages in your life, and different stages in the organization. We'll look back on today like you look back on 5 years ago, like, wow, what a process, but but we don't focus on that. It's just something that with that mission at the forefront of your mind, it's the driver. You don't focus on the no's. We live by no's. Hopefully every no brings me closer to yes. That's
Yeah.
But it's just interesting and perspective wise, you get to different stages of things. So it's just so encouraging to get to different stages. And I think it's probably appropriate to now tell you, Paul, on this 5-year lodge 4-year lodge anniversary, that this morning I opened up my email and I saw that somebody made a $5,050 donation last night.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
so
amazing.
I know. I was like, what? Like, so
see, there you go. You never know. That's us saying, you never know, right? You never know what tomorrow's going to bring, or tonight's going to bring, or this afternoon, how God's going to bless, and blessings are there. And just a little bit more, not to take away from what you just said, but as far as the donation, but we've had people come in wanting to control and basically take over and didn't like my decisions. Well, some of the things I even decide, I don't know. I do the best I can from what I know, and what God lays a lot of things on my heart that really from day to day, sometimes I have to make quick decisions. I don't know, but I pray that I make the right decision. Do I always know? But I try. I give it my best. And, I have to make sure the building's maintained, that everything's taken care of. Snow removal, all that stuff. You say, well, that's nothing. When you have your own household and other responsibility, then you're responsible for what goes on in the kitchen ultimately, with the guides, the vets as they come in. Even though I have delegation, you still have, ultimately, I'm responsible, because people say, oh, well, how come this didn't happen? Or how come that didn't happen? Which I'm okay with that. But there's still that full responsibility in the end, because people look up to me, and not that I'm any different than anybody else. It's just what God has given me. And I'm so thankful for the people we have, because we have some super good people and that know their job and do it efficiently. And we can do it obviously without the volunteers that we have. I'd be lost.
Well, that's the bottom line is, and that was one of my key points was, the foundation is your faith and this mission that God gave you. But the foundation to the organization is the volunteers. I mean, without every single person that shares a message, that tells somebody about it, that bakes a pie. We talk about pies a lot. Do you notice that? A lot of pies. Everybody else out there want to bake pies. We need more pies.
If you don't like a pie, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah, we should have said there is one prerequisite. You need to like pies, and if you bake them, even better.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's true. It is, and that's just it. I mean, the number one mission is helping the men and women of the military, but the number one foundation is the people that are willing to give without expecting anything in return. And there's so many people that are so amazing, and it's growing and growing and growing. And there's always room for more, because the job is never going to be done. We're always going to be adding programs. We're always going to be adding new opportunities. And it's
a great opportunity for people who are searching or looking for something to do. They want to help our men and women who serve our country. What better way to come to an organization, whether it be ours or someone else's, to say, hey, I want to give a helping hand. You don't, like you said, you could just bring a pie in, bring some cookies in, pray. You don't even have to show up, just pray. because we need prayers. We need prayers for
That's a good
safety,
point.
for guidance.
Yes.
That's one of the most important things is, and we do have people praying for us on a regular basis. We need that. We need that protection for all of us,
Yeah.
the veterans, the guides, all the volunteers, all of us.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be here physically. You don't have to be. If you are, great, but you don't have to be. So
Right.
everybody plays a key role. And don't think of anything too small.
Hmm.
There isn't. I like the application in scripture when it says, talking about the body, what would the eye be without another part of the body, like the ear? I can't remember how it's all said, but every part of the body is intricate and important because one cannot function properly without the other. So we all assist each other in
I
some
like that.
form.
Hmm.
Yeah. So we are a big body and we all need to function and play our role. Because if you were to send some of us guides in the kitchen, well,
Yeah.
yeah, we could put a meal together, but you might not come back.
But
But it's
too, talking about the volunteers, there's so many levels of things because I myself just starting out coming in for the bear retreat last year, and I hear it all the time from volunteers, and I want to talk to more of them because the healing doesn't just happen with the veterans. There's so much healing in the volunteers and the way that they are affected and they're changed after they are involved in whatever capacity that is. Just that giving is so good for the soul. But the new friendships that are formed, the ways that they take it out into the world, they come to the retreats and they volunteer there, or in whatever capacity they go out and they do it other places. They see that healing that happens at the lodge and they're going out and making it happen in other places. So when we talk numbers and we're like, we've served or we've hosted over 1,600 vets, or men and women at the lodge, can you even imagine what that number really is? I mean, if you talk about every veteran, and for every veteran, there's probably been 10 volunteers. I mean, it takes a lot of volunteers to run those programs when we have them. If every single person went out into the world and just affected even one person or two people, and sometimes it's 10 and hundreds and thousands, it's probably really in the millions, the number of people that have been changed and their lives have been affected because of the program and because of the good things that happen there. So it's really, that's a little grandiose, but it's true. Like giving and connecting and healing helps so many people beyond just that day,
well, when let's say a veteran comes in or active military and it helps them and it changes them for the better, or kind of not for the better, but to get back to what they used to be, and they go home to their spouse and their kids or their place at work, whatever it might be, and people see a change, then they go tell other people, just like you were saying. So it's not just them, and also the volunteers, same thing. They go home and said,
Yeah.
wow, I haven't felt like this in years. I feel so good about it. It's because you're giving to somebody. That's all it
Yes.
is. It's a simple concept. I
Like,
don't, yeah,
like George. I mean, the
yes,
fact that his family said that after the fact, that he was a changed man. It's like,
yeah.
right? It's working miracles, really, is what it's doing.
It,
That's
it,
awesome.
it is. And the key is your outlook on life in general. And when you have a positive attitude, good things happen. And that positivity, it reaches people. And you don't have to say anything. You can just be happy, singing, whistling, whatever, doing your job and liking it. And there was a smile on your face, and people see that. And some people may say, hey, I want that. How do I get that? You help others. And that's
Yeah.
God's love.
Yeah.
That's what, and I want to say this, Christ died on the cross. He gave everything for us so that we could have eternal life. He shed his blood, he suffered. And for us, just this little part, I know myself, I'm doing very little, but it's something. If I can save or help one soul, that's worth everything to that soul. And I think that's so key in life in general is just be kind and help others and do the best you can And you don't have to be fancy. You don't have to have the best house, the best vehicle. Just be yourself in a good way,
Mhm.
in a good sense.
Okay, so now we've talked about the foundation and why we're here and what we're doing. Where do you see the organization in the future?
I can see as we connect with more people and get outside of the town of Lee, so to speak, that we're going to be able to help and work with other organizations like we've already started. And they're going to be able to help us as we have traveled this spring and last fall, going to these other organizations. We got to see how they do things, and we can take all the things that we see that they do, good things, and apply them to what we do, and vice versa. So I think connection is key. Uh, Meeting new people, new organizations, even people that want to help. It will be a business or a
Mhm.
company or a bank or individuals that say, "Hey, I'd like to give a helping hand." I think it makes us a better organization and a
Mhm.
better people because we're listening to others and how they may run their business.
Mhm.
And they might tell us, "Hey, I know of a good way that could help you excel and help you so you can help more veterans in many different ways." Whether, we meet people that will donate clothes for special events, for example.
Mhm.
Somebody may say, "Hey, I know somebody that's they have a charter boat. Here's an opportunity to take some veterans fishing." Or I know of an outfitter, they do a special hunt. So yeah, meeting other people and listening to different ideas, I think is really helpful. And not just to stay secluded here in Lee, like, yes, are we doing good things? Of course we are, but there's a big world out there, and there's a lot of good ideas out there, and a lot of good organizations that are helping veterans the same
Yes.
as we are. So I think connecting and helping each other is a key thing that we should all be doing.
Absolutely. And that was pretty much the number one thing I was going to focus on, is just that the networking and the collaboration and the whole idea of nonprofits helping nonprofits. And it's not a competition. We say that all the time. It's just people helping people to help more people. That's just
Yeah.
the big thing. And what it looks like in 5 years, I think, who knows? You never know. I mean, because you don't know from day to day. You might have something in your mind on what it might look like, but God has the ultimate plan. And those connections that you could make in the next 5 years, who the heck knows what that's going to look like? What those connections. Some of the connections we make just blow my mind. Like, I know anything is possible, but sometimes I'm like, what? Like, how did that happen? So it's
Exactly.
it's incredible. And I think that's what makes it so exciting to be part of it too. It's obviously it's the helping people, and but it is exciting to see just how many we could possibly help. So every morning I think, who are we going to connect with today? Like, it's just exciting to see what that is, and to get messages from people, and to be part of the whole process is like the best thing that you could ever possibly want, but in the simplest way. That's really just it. Is every conversation we have, people are like, this is the best conversation I've had all week. It's like,
Yeah.
wait a second, we were calling asking you for
Yeah.
something, and it turned out to be, so it is, when people really understand it and they hear the mission. Some people won't hear the mission, and that's okay. Everybody doesn't have to. You don't have to be friends with everybody,
No.
but the people that understand you and they hear it, they're open to it, they take it right to their heart and they pass it on to the next person. When they get it, they get it. And I think for people that are doing the similar things, or in any capacity, if you're trying to help people, everybody's not going to get it. That's the message here. Like, if you're struggling because people are opposing what your idea is, if in the bottom of your heart of hearts, if you're doing the best thing that you can for the people that you're trying to help, then keep going. Because if they don't like it, that there's plenty of other places for them to go and help other people in different capacities. I think that's the biggest thing, is the, when people are discouraged, it's like, well, don't worry about what everybody else is thinking or saying. Just do what you know is right.
Well, that's in answer your question. What is the future like? Well, like I said, I don't know. I perceive things in my mind, what I want it to be. But I have the mindset, okay, I can't control a lot of things, but one thing I can control is I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing. And that's just working, like getting the bear bait, getting it ready, going out baiting, and do the same things, and be willing to, I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty, whatever it takes. And God will fill in the gap. He'll put people in your life that you need to meet or that will help along the way. Not saying, I'm going to stick my head in the sand and not try to go out, and meet new people. But on the other hand, I know just working and being steady and every day being out there and persistent and do what you love to do, but just work,
Yes.
work. And God blesses work. So he'll put people in your life when the time is right. And that, like you said earlier, I believe is the timing. Things will be put in place when the time is right.
Yeah.
If we would have had all kinds of money at the beginning, and we wouldn't have met all the people we've met, all the people that fundraise for us, we just wouldn't, because we'd say, well, we're all set. Why, we don't need to talk to other people, and I love that we're in the situation we're in. It's a challenge and it's exciting. Like you woke up this morning and a $5,000 donation, or $5,050, whatever it was. What a thought. You wake up and you have a donation like that. I mean, it's like, who knows? You don't know. You just do the best you can with what you have, and be honest, and work hard. And like I said, God blesses all that.
And honestly, I was just going to say, when I see any donations come in, it could be $2. And I'm like, oh, Jessica donated $2. Who's Jessica? Like, I wonder who she is. I wonder what her story is. Like, $2 could be what Jessica, I'm with Jessica. Like, $2 is about all I've got.
Yeah.
But, it's not about the dollar amount. I thought it was just kind of interesting, the timing of today being the anniversary, and we were talking about all the opportunities and the connections, and how, so much of what we do, so much of what I do as the development coordinator is trying to, how can we expand visibility? How can we reach more people? Which in turn is going to help us reach more veterans and more, military men and women. So there's a lot of change. This is a big year. We've said from the beginning, like, what's our focus this year? It's veterans, it's active men and women. But it's connection. And you don't know that conversation, you, the average person out there, who just wants to get involved. If you see this video, tell someone about it. That's it. Just tell someone about it, because they might go to the website and they might see a way that they're impacted and they're changed. And then they're going to tell someone. So it's not about the money. Obviously, we need money. Otherwise we couldn't keep doing it. But that will happen. God blesses us when, we're working hard. We're working day in, day out, morning, noon, and night, to try to get more visibility, to help more people. And it's paying off. People are starting to see it. They're spreading the word. And like I said, all over the world, in a sense. And that's a little surprising too, even in this day and age, and the world I live in. I'm still like, what? Someone in Germany found out about like, that seems like crazy, but that's how it works these days. I mean,
speaking of donations, it was when we first were getting going as a nonprofit, and we got this little envelope in the mail, and I could tell it was an older person, because that's kind of how I write, scribbly. And opened it up, and there was a piece of paper, and they said on that little scrap piece of paper, I know this isn't much. I hope you could use this. This is all we could afford. And then they said, I hope you can use this. It was like $5. And I just started tearing up. It's like,
I'm tearing up now.
I know they could have used it for milk or bread or whatever, but they said, this is all we could afford. And that hit home, and I've never forgot that. I've never forgot that. And like you just said a couple minutes ago, it's not the amount. I don't care if it's a dime.
Mhm.
It all helps. And to me, it's like the widow in the Bible. She gave her 2 mites. She gave all she had. And it reminded me so much of that widow woman in the scripture that they gave $5.
Yeah.
And it's just something. God can take that $5 or a dollar and use it and magnify it like he did the fishes with the disciples and turn it
Yeah.
into something way beyond our comprehension. And he does. He does. You just got to look for it. It's there. It's there all the time. And
Yes.
there are miracles every day. So we see them. I've seen, we've been down with our insurance a few years ago. Twice it happened. One year in particular, we were down, we had 4 or 5 days left to pay our insurance. We had a little over 2,000 and we needed like a $4,600 down payment. And then we'd make payments through the year to pay our insurance on the building at the lodge and all the vehicles and everything. And all of a sudden we got a phone call from one person. They ended up sending a pretty good sized check, then another person, and then another person. We ended up with way more than what our down payment on the insurance was. We ended up with like I don't know, 35,000, something like that. Ridiculous. How God blessed.
Yes.
And I told my wife, I said, it's out of our hands. I said, we've done all we can. It's up to God to provide. And those are the very words I said. And it happened.
Mhm.
I was just ready. Okay, well, nothing we can do. We didn't have the money.
Right.
So it's up to God. And it happened. That's a miracle. It
Yes.
happened twice. It happened 2 years. That happened.
Yes. And if you don't take that as a sign, like you're doing the right things, you're gonna stay open, it's gonna happen one way or another. But it's just day to day. You don't know what the big picture looks like.
Right.
Just do the best you can that day with what you have. And that's all you can do. Go to bed at night knowing you did the best you could.
Right.
And you know what, whatever problems are there, they'll be there tomorrow. We'll fix them tomorrow.
Yeah.
They'll be fixed in good time. So,
Right. Yeah.
So let's talk about the big announcement about July 9th next year. What are you going to be doing July 9th next year?
Oh boy. We're going to celebrate our 5th anniversary of our lodge being open.
Yeah.
So, which is hard to believe. It's going to be 5 years next year. So we're going to have a lot of good stuff there. We're going to have some country singers, as far as I know. We'll have some festivities. We'll have all kinds of food. We'll probably have some games there. Who knows? We'll have all kinds of unique stuff going on that we'll play.
Is there gonna be lobster?
Oh, probably we could arrange that. Probably.
Maybe this is where a miracle comes in. Maybe there'll be a donation for lobster.
Yeah. Yeah, that will have to be a miracle, especially this year's prices.
Well, if we don't believe in miracles, nobody can. I mean,
it'll happen. We'll probably have different kinds of foods there, maybe some food wagons and
there's going to be a lot of awesome stuff. There's going to be a lot of entertainment, a lot of opportunity for people to come. It's going to be a big community event. Like, and when I say community, I mean countrywide, like anybody that can come. We're gonna it's basically gonna be a big open house, a big celebration, and a big thank you to every single person who has been a part of the organization, not just the lodge. It's our anniversary of the lodge, but we want it to be just a ginormous festival of just good memories, good fun, good food, and good friends. So so more to come on that, but we just wanted to toss that out there. What else did I want to talk about? What else do you want to talk about? You've been talking a lot to us. See how much I let you talk?
I'm surprised. I do get a word in edgewise sometimes. No, excited for our bear hunt coming up because that's one of our biggest events. They're all important. They're all fun. We got a bass striper fishing trip actually coming right up this weekend. We arrive in Bath at the Hampton Inn. who graciously puts us up 4 rooms with 2 queen size beds every year for nothing. The guides feed us lobster and steamers and homemade pie and ice cream and
There's the
all
pie
kinds of
again.
stuff. You notice food is a thing here.
Yeah.
Then we get up, go fishing, get up there just as soon as it comes daylight, and then fish until about noonish. And then we have a restaurant or somebody donates a meal for all us veterans. I'm not a veteran, all the veterans in our family. And so anyway, the bear hunt, that is our biggest event. We got what, 36 vets coming this year. We got some camera crews. We got tons of food we need to have donated. It's going to be 14 straight days of nonstop good stuff, healing, conversations, home cooked meals, harvesting some bear, the camaraderie, sitting around talking about the event taking place and just different people's perspective on what's going on at House in the Woods and other places, their organizations. So just a lot of healing, a lot of good stuff that takes place. It's something special about staying overnight and then another night and another night. You get to know people, and then when they get ready to leave, you don't want to see them leave. It's like, oh my goodness, this week is gone and I may never see them again. You know, so you get attached like it's crazy. So, but it's good stuff. It's very healing, and I love the atmosphere. And we are going to have lobster.
Yeah.
We
I
have
was gonna say the nice thing about this day and age is that we can stay connected. So
yeah,
you know, a lot of times the guys and gals that will come, they'll stay, you know, Facebook friends, send emails, text messages, all sorts of different things. So it is sad that day, but everybody does stay connected so well. It's that home away from home. You become family, and the family just keeps growing and growing and growing. So it's so amazing.
yeah. We love
It's
having
difficult.
them there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
There's something about the atmosphere, the energy that's in the building. And I think that that it stays, you know, that positive energy, the healing energy stays with the building, because every time somebody new comes, they feel it. They say that they feel it. I mean, we certainly do. But we hear that all the time. People just say there's something special about coming through those doors. And it's no different for volunteers either. So it'll be really, really fun. It's always fun when people come to the lodge, but for that 5-year anniversary, for so many
yeah.
people to be in there, we have a special artist that's coming. We haven't released that yet, Paul, but we have a special artist that's coming, and he's going to be making a unique piece to keep with the lodge. So you're going to have a lot of people will want to see that. And at some point in the next 5 years, Paul, you're gonna have one of your wishes come true, is having people in the lodge on a daily basis. I mean, I just know that that's coming, you know, is to not have it empty, have it be utilized, and that's coming. So it's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah, I need a
Are you
nap.
are you excited? Yeah.
I'm excited. I need a nap thinking about it.
Yeah.
I do like naps, by the way.
Yeah, I will not release. Yeah, there might be a few pictures of Paul napping, like at every single event. I take an opportunity to say, "Oh, look, Mr. House is sleeping again."
It's either that or sneaking food in the kitchen.
Yes, we have video of that. Yeah. But during bear season too, you do a lot of. We haven't even talked about the man of the hour.
Oh,
Well,
Turbo.
the dog of the hour, I should say. Yeah.
Turbo coffee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you want to tell?
Yeah, I guess. So anyway, Turbo's a tracking dog. He's our family pet, but he's also a tracking dog for House in the Woods and other people. So Turbo is a German wirehead dachshund. He'll be 6 the end of August, hard to believe. But he is an amazing tracking dog, and he tracks deer, bear, moose, and other animals, and he's really good at it. So having said that, Turbo is going to be on the cover of a new coffee, which we're going to start selling. That's Turbo.
Yeah. Can
Well,
you see him in there? There he is.
there's Turbo. You didn't know dogs could drive and drink coffee, did you? Well, this dog can.
It's okay to drink and drive if it's coffee. Yeah.
Only coffee. So yeah, we're gonna start selling our coffee the end of July. We're gonna have coffee, our first coffee tasting August 1st from 2 to 5 in the afternoon, which is a Sunday afternoon.
Yes.
So that's gonna exciting. We have 6 different stores right now who are gonna buy the coffee, sell the coffee for us. And a lot of individuals have already ordered coffee. So if you like coffee, you need to try Turbo Boost. It's gonna be the
Yeah.
best. And not only is the coffee the best, but Turbo's the best, and you're gonna have his little picture right there. So he's
Yep. Even if you don't like coffee, just buy the
yeah,
bag because it's super adorable
yeah,
and it's for a good cause.
good, yeah,
You can still pre-order the coffee. It's our first run, so you can pre-order the coffee. You can just go to our website and click on the coffee tab, or reach out to us. But after that, like Paul said, it'll be available in 6 stores, and all the proceeds go to fund, the retreats. It costs us between 150 and $200,000 for the lot to run all the programs. Not only just the programs, but just the lodge, the insurance. There's business type costs affiliated with it as well. So that little, it's just another little tool in our tool bucket, but it's going to be available all the time. So but get in on the action because it's delicious. Even Paul, the not coffee drinker, he was all jacked up trying the coffee because we blended it over at what's the name of it?
Something green coffee.
Hold on, I'm gonna have to edit this out. Hold on. I don't want to say it wrong.
Me neither.
I think it's
Wicked Green Coffee.
Wicked Green Farm. Okay, let's pause for a second.
Wicked.
Yeah, Paul was really jacked up when we were over at Wicked Green Farm in Calais with Mike, where Mike helped us to blend our very own house blend of coffee. So, Paul, what was that coffee tasting experience for you?
It was new to taste that many different blends because I'm not really a coffee drinker, but I didn't get jacked up too bad.
I was surprised, yeah.
But it was fun. There was a bunch of us there. It was really that initial process of meeting Mike and having Aaron Ritter, a vet that is a combat veteran. Neat to have him there. Yeah.
Speaker for our golf tournament.
Speaker, yeah. And just the whole atmosphere, starting something new and trying to come up with a blend that we think is going to be really good. So it is going to be good. So
it is good. It's delicious.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
So
if you're looking for a boost, whether it's a coffee or just a happy boost, you can look at Turbo's picture in the morning every time you wake up. So get your coffee. It's super exciting. It's exciting to find another avenue for us to be spreading the word. That'll be a good thing for people to buy for gifts, and especially with, dare I say it, like fall is coming, Thanksgiving, Christmas, birthdays, holidays, all that kind of stuff. So we won't talk about that. We still want to enjoy the warm weather, but it's going to be fun.
Yes, especially if you own a company or in a company, like Angie said, great gift idea, or to throw in some other stuff. Just to thank you to hear and you're also helping veterans. That's the key thing is, we're selling the coffee, making a little profit to help go towards our retreats, but you're helping veterans, helping us help veterans by doing this. So
one of the companies is going to celebrate Veterans Day. Is it Veterans Day? Hold on. One of the companies is going to celebrate Veterans Day by giving a bag of this coffee to every single veteran in their company. Can you believe that?
That's pretty amazing.
It's super amazing because it's doubly helpful. And just think of the way that it's going to spread the word, too. So anyway, whoops. Hold on. I'm losing my mind. My battery's telling me it's low. So apparently we're talking a lot because I only have a few minutes yet.
There's no we and I.
So I think before we let everybody go, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's listened to this point. I mean, it's super exciting to be involved in it. And if you want to hear more about everything that's going on, follow along, share things, please visit our website at www.houseinthewoods.org. Also go to all the major social avenues. We're out there. We're everywhere. Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. I just finished our first podcast, so in the next couple of weeks, we'll be seeing podcasts out there for House in the Woods. And the Chronicle, we have a bi-weekly Chronicle, which is a newsletter, but it's all unique stuff. It's not stuff you've seen reposted from somewhere else. So if you're interested in that, send us a message. We'll get you on that list. Geez, is there anything I forgot?
Oh, I think you have the Lincoln News that you do.
Yes, we have a column in the Lincoln News. If there's any other newspapers out there that would like to feature us as a column, we would love that.
Or if you'd like us on your radio show too, or TV
Radio
show.
show, speaking events. I mean, we're on the move. I got Paul out there as much as I can. Keep him out of my hair. Keep him by you. No.
we can bring Turbo on and see Turbo in person, have the coffee. So if you have a show, this is a unique opportunity. And Turbo is a great therapy dog for our veterans. He's not officially a therapy dog, but he really is.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Guest appearances by Turbo. I mean,
yeah.
It doesn't really get any better than that. It's Turbo's world. We're just living in it. That's all.
That's about it.
So, well, thank you to everybody out there. Honestly,
Yes,
like you said, thank you to everybody who's starting from, praying for everybody, praying for the organization, all the way up to, donations that companies make, people make, stopping by and saying hello. We're going to have open houses. August 1st is going to be an open house. We're going to have a coffee tasting. But you're welcome to contact us anytime. If you're looking for a tour, you want to hear more about us, want to talk to Paul, want to hear more about Turbo. Paul will talk about Turbo and pies all day long. So if you want to talk about Turbo and pies.
Doesn't get any better than that.
But again, Paul, thank you so much. Again, happy anniversary, 4th anniversary of the lodge. And
Well,
we just have to spend the day in gratefulness of everything that we've had to this point. So we'll continue to do that. We'll just continue to help more and more people.
Thank you.
All right. You guys have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.